open a restaurant and run their own show. And Rage Coffee predominantly has been a very, very successful coffee brand. They have a very far reach into a very good reach into the Indian audience, and it is a very dynamic coffee brand. It is not boring or slow or something like which targets maybe oldies who want to wake up with a cup of coffee. It's basically the young India brand, I would say, for Rage Coffee is how I perceive it, where people would primarily switch to Rage Coffee when they want more flavors, when they want a nice kick in their early morning, course of things, where they want to just wake up and get into the activities. So, Rage being a brand which is focusing into coffee, Whataburger being a brand which is focusing into food. How do we come together? We come together because the gap in the market, which is for cafes, is wide open right now. So, if you see the opportunity when somebody wants to upgrade from chai and go to a good cup of coffee with food, the jump is straight away from about 80 rupees to about 300 rupees to Starbucks and places. The medium bracket was controlled by old brands and some brands which have now gone from the market, and they are slowly dying. There's no refreshment there. So we want to make good cup of coffee and good food affordable to Indian audience while we make a nice fancy restaurant around it. So it becomes accessible. It is the only cafe which is doing that now. And the second biggest advantage is fresh food. So whether you go to Starbucks, you go to let's say Tim Hortons, you go to a mediocre brand like Barista, or you go to a pocket-friendly brand like some other coffee, Nescafe, Quick Stop. All these places serve only frozen food. What you don't have access to is freshly made food and a good variety of food. So that's what we are trying to change here, where you have fresh, accessible food, and you also have a good cup of coffee, both at a very comfortable, pocket-friendly price in the ambience of a cafe, which mostly is expensive, but it is still pocket-friendly for customers. So in combination, it creates a business model which is very lucrative for tier two, tier three, tier one cities. All people from all age brackets will be very comfortable. Our food menu is good for people over 30 and below 30. The coffee is anyways has a good variety, with the mix-ins and things, flavors, which is good for, again, youngsters and people who are over a certain age bracket also. So it becomes a very versatile and dynamic package, and comes out as a good cafe model with good food variety. Our experience in as Whataburger, talking about just our brand, we've been here for almost 10 years, and we scaled to almost 90 plus stores in this journey of 10 years. We have a full supply chain setup, pan India. You can just open a store and we take care of everything. So once we sign up, we make your store, we arrange your logistics, we arrange your supplies. It's an end-to-end hand-holding method. But having said that, it is still a franchise. So you run the show. It's just that we are always there right behind you to support you in everything that you want to do. And that's all from my end. I think Bharat can add in a few words for Rage Coffee also.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining in also. Very quickly, Rajat, you've summed it up really well. What I want to focus on is talk about the entire gap in the market. But before that, let me also quickly take everyone back to the genesis of Rage and why Rage started. In 2019, we started commercially selling Rage coffee. The bigger gaps we identified were, and we've primarily been a CPG, FMCG company. So branching out into the QSR space was a no-brainer because we have over today 5 million plus customers pan India. We have served over an estimated 13 crore cups of coffee to Indians. We have almost 10 to 15% market share in all online channels when it comes to coffee. We are in the third, apart from the legacy giants like HUL and Nestle, we're in the top 3, 4, 5 coffee brands across channels in India. In our customer segment that we target, the 18, the 16 to 35-year-olds, we are probably in the top 3 or 4 in the consideration set also. What we've really innovated upon, I think, and which is why we started also, was that we saw a large gap in the market around 3 or 4 things which we really wanted to master. One was the sourcing. Our entire sourcing, our entire manufacturing techniques that we developed in the coffee space essentially gave us a completely different twist from the market. The other thing that we I would say, completely disrupted was the positioning of coffee in the country. While the youth was really wanting to have a differentiated, experience with coffee, which was more functional, more flavorful, and the entire customer base that we have been targeting have been, they don't drink coffee as a nice to have. It's a must have for most of them. They literally start their day with a cup of coffee and end their evenings with a cup of coffee. So, and since we started, the penetration of coffee in India has gone up by almost 30-40%. And even today, at 15%, the entire room for growth is about another 30-40% by the end of 2030. So the point is that people are shifting from chai to coffee. Rage is already a very well-established brand in the mind of the consumer. We have products starting from 2 rupees sachets to about 575 rupees of the premium blends that we have, which compete with, let's say, more imported players in the country. Beyond that, I think where we have really collaborated and come together with Whataburger is that we have been serving our coffee products to leading QSRs, cafes for the last 3-4 years, be it mom and pop cafes that you would really love, their products, or larger chains that either make premixes or either use it for their desserts or for their cakes and ice creams. We supply to over 1,500 plus leading coffee QSRs in the country. And what we were seeing over these years was that a couple of things were completely missing from the market. Number one, the recipes. So what we have mastered as a brand is the flavors, the combination of different flavors and recipes when it comes to hot and cold. Our teams have co-developed products for leading brands. I don't want to name them, but leading QSR brands in the country. And the second, so recipes was one part of it. The other part that we really kind of mastered is the pricing. We enter at the beautiful spot that Rajat also mentioned, that completely was left out in the market. CCD was servicing the entry level products and barista and CCD, and then there was a Blue Tokai or a third wave, which has exorbitantly high priced products. So we have come in where the bulk of the market is. Almost 200 plus million customers are in this bracket potentially. Today, we are at about 40-50 million odd customers in the entire country, but this will go up to about 4 times, which is the fastest growing segment within the out of home coffee space. So quickly, these two things really kind of will help everybody who joins us in this partnership. Whataburger has already a very well established name in the market when it comes to their food products. So what you are getting essentially, apart from obviously all the financial gains that you will get, the brand is, both the brands are very well reputed in the market. They are well known by the customers. Thousands of customers would be there in any pockets that you go to. We're also a brand that is very popular in the non-metro cities. Another thing that we should mention here is that India's leading sports person, and also one of the biggest sports person in the world, Virat Kohli, is our brand ambassador. And he's been associated with the company for a good 2.5 years now. And it has really helped us kind of talk to the audience that we cater to. So those are a couple of pointers that will help you understand the potential of the partnership here. We're already successfully running 3 franchises, and we believe this number can go up to about 40 to 50 franchises in the next 18 months. We already are seeing a lot of demand from the market, and we want to partner with enterprising franchisee owners who understand how this business runs, or are willing to get their hands dirty and build it with us. We can take questions also.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll take, but I think let's start with the presentation.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Raja. Thank you, Bharat. I think everything has been covered, which is already there, which is there in the presentation. But I'll just skim through it again, just to
Yeah,
share.
please. Yeah.
I hope this is visible.
Yes.
So we are showcasing here India's first dual franchising model, Rage Coffee, which merges flavors with Whataburger. So we call, in short, we call ourselves Rage X Fab. So, quickly, if you want to go through the mission, and I'll just go through the vision statement to become India's leading dual brand franchisee by revolutionizing. One second, just by revolutionizing the mid-range coffee and fast food market. Something both the founders have already spoken about. Rage Coffee, founded in 2018, the OG Rager Virat Kohli, our brand ambassador, and who has been associated with us. Numbers which we have spoken about, spread in 51 cities, 7,500 plus retail outlets, the top three brands in consideration and sales in almost all the channels that we are operating in currently. So some snapshots of our manufacturing facility, our product, the activations that we do in the market, some of the brands who use our products in their menu, and what again we were talking about earlier. Whataburger again started in 2016, and currently have over 50, 60 plus 65 plus outlets across India, and the biggest USP of a very fast homegrown brand. So USPs, selling burgers with the authentic flavors of India. We're the first ones who started Indian flavors. Earlier, it was all, it was either a McDonald's and those kind of products which were there. In-house recipes, menu range from pocket friendly to the gourmet range. 24/7 client and customer support. So one of the biggest things. So like Rajat mentioned, any corner of India, because the supply chain is so automated, the recipes, everything it's all so standardized. Everything can be set up, in a span of 30 to 45 days, depending on the location. So why Rage Coffee X Whataburger? Power of two brands, half the investment when double the attraction, and it's in the noticeable gap which has been there, which both the founders have spoken about, the pricing between the sweet spot between the 80 to 300 rupees, which is something that is, we all talk about the burgeoning middle class in India. Today, brands are, focusing and getting ranges out, and that's the key market for every brand today. And this is something that has been, captured by us, and that is what we want to get into. So this just a small glimpse of our first, store in Lucknow. So just to give you a look and feel of how the place is. So again, we have various formats depending on the location. We can customize the formats. So now this is a full sit-down cafe, which is there in a prime place in Lucknow. Then we have one which is in Connaught Place, which is again in a very very prime spot. The footprint of that cafe is slightly smaller, but the aesthetics and the overall look and feel is very similar to what you'll get in a large cafe format. So why franchise with us? You will get brand building support and national level marketing, digital and social media marketing, hassle-free construction with innovative store design. Again, like mentioned earlier, the entire backend is already set up, sorted, and has been going on for so many years. Assistance in location hunting and site evaluation, assistance in hiring and training, 24/7 client and customer support, centralized supply chain with electronic ordering system, and the biggest USP of the food, traditional franchisee models, everything relies on heat and eat. You get products from a central kitchen, and then they're, frozen products, and then you will serve them after microwaving them or heating them and serving. But here, the food is prepared fresh. And beverages, of course, we have state-of-the-art vending machines, customizable. If a location requires automatic vending machines, we can do that. Otherwise, we have semi-automatic machines which give you the same kind of coffee experience which a premium cafe chain like a Starbucks or a Blue Tokai will give, but at a fraction of the cost. So this is a very brief of the summary or the financials that we have. So this we can share in more detail with potential franchisee partners or who want to partner with us. And just to just go to it, that what are the kind of sales expectations we have, what is the kind of operating cost, what is the total investment. So total investment, it starts from a 21 lakhs, and then it goes up depending on the location and depending on the overall area which is there. So food court, so again, we are focusing on two kind of formats, food court and a kiosk, which is a minimum area required would be around 200 to 300 square feet. Franchisee fee, which we take for this is 6 lakhs. Royalty is 8% on net sales, and the setup cost starts at about 15 lakhs. So store setup and handover, like mentioned earlier, 30 to 45 days. Minimum for a cafe or a dine-in, the minimum area required would be about 500 square feet. The franchisee fee here is 8 lakhs. Setup cost starts at about 25 lakhs. Total investment starts at 33 lakhs, give or take, again, depending on the location and the entire construction cost, and the same setup and handover time of 30 to 45 days. Projected ROI starting from 18 months, that, sales will, that has been shared in the sheets. And, we'll share that in more detail once we have once we get the people who want to ask specific questions around that.
Right. Thanks so much, Arijit, for the detailed presentation.
Thank you.
While we get the questions from the attendees, right, those who are watching us. Well, how many franchisee stores running you have right now?
Currently, we have 3 franchisee stores, and as mentioned by Bharat, that there's an interest from across the markets, because see, both the brands have pan India presence. Either in the with Rage Coffee in the entire offline space, online space, and with Whataburger in terms of 60 plus outlets across India. So there is interest from across India currently, and we are open to expansion there.
And when did you open those stores? If you could help us understanding, when did you started it, and then what all things has happened? Like, how is the performance of those 3 stores?
Right.
Any idea about it?
Of course. So we started with the first one, which was the Lucknow store, and simultaneously we started a CP store in Delhi. The CP store is our flagship store, and both the stores. And then we have the store in Bangalore, which is like a food, it is a kiosk in a food court. It's in a corporate park. Now the good part is that all of the stores have growing sales every day and every month. Ballpark CP store on an average does 20 to 25,000 per day. The Lucknow stores started with about 10 to 15,000, going up to 20, 25,000 every day. And even the Bangalore store, which is inside a corporate setup where there's just about 2,500 people currently, we are already seeing sales of 10,000 per day. And it's growing every day. The feedback that we have, if you go and see our reviews, we are almost at 5. The product feedback has been excellent. And one more thing which is there, what we bring onto the table is a little bit of customization. For example, if there are certain things like, let's say there's a Whataburger store in Ahmedabad. Now they have an all vegetarian menu, right? So similarly, we have started in Bangalore. Now let's say that people want, okay, besides the beverage menu that you have, there are some things which we would like to have, let's say traditional filter coffee. So we can very quickly do that, and we have started doing those things. Similarly, in Lucknow, if there are particular food items which will cater to the local flavor, and some draw out something from there, we start those things, and we are very flexible and quick in getting those SOPs made, and then getting them standardized. So that's a good thing about us. Another thing I would like to mention here, that enterprising entrepreneurs who join hand with us also get an opportunity, depending on availability, to distribute the Rage Coffee range of products in the institutional business. Now, that's a big, a decent vertical for us. And entrepreneurs who can do this and take this as because see, what happens is with other brands, let's say you take a franchisee of any other cafe brand or a food brand, they don't have any products which are typically FMCG. So you get an opportunity to sell this from your store as well. And if there is, we have space, we don't have distribution there, we can give you that opportunity to sell these products in the B2B space as well.
Okay. Any idea, like, when I can? I mean, like, if I am an investor, when can I expect to break even? How long does it take?
18 to 24 months is what we portray. Yes.
Depending on the format, because they're different
depending on the format also.
It take anywhere between 18 to 24 months. And in fact, with Whataburger and some of their franchises, they have given returns much faster than that to some of their fast-growing stores. So averaged out tentatively, it is about 18 months.
See, just to add in here, primarily, and this is a very common question, and franchise industry, people want to understand how we break even. So
True.
there's a very good comparison, I would say, between a store which is located at a high footfall location, and that's where we start, and compared to a store which builds up slowly. Now, these are two scenarios that people must always compare. For example, let's go to a high street location in maybe a city like Dehradun, which is a very good location, has a nice big cafe. Your footprint is about 1,000 square feet. People enjoy coming there. You build the ambience. Now, here, your startup cost is going to be slightly lower, and the overhead cost is going to be slightly lower because the rentals will be less. Your deposits that you've made for the location will be less, but you have a large store and you slowly build that location. So after a couple of 6 or 7 odd months, people start remembering कि यार वहाँ चलते हैं, वहाँ से view अच्छा है. It's a very big space to sit. Parking easy है. You add that value to the location and you grow slowly. So your rental remains low, but over a period of 2 years, you build clientele in that location. So after 2 years, after 1.5 years, suddenly see कि यार लोग ढूंढ के आते हैं उस जगह पे because it's become famous. The second spot is where you pick up the most famous market in that city and you land a store there. Now, of course, finding a location will be difficult. You'll have to involve brokers. Your cost for acquisition of the property is going to be high. Construction may issues aenge because a lot of policing, a lot of things. So you will take slightly longer to build that store also. But here, from day one, you don't have to advertise much. It will be line of sight sales where people see and drop in, and you start cashing in and faster on that. But your overheads are slightly higher. So this is where an experienced team comes into play. So when you come to us with a location, if it's your own location, it's a different story. We start with a different kind of view of the whole situation. But if you come to us with, let's say, a city, I have zeroed in on X city where I want to open a store. We start with the number crunching first. Which location is good, कहाँ पे क्या investment आएगी, कहाँ पे आप walk in expect कर सकते हो. And we tell that very clearly to the franchise कि देखो अगर आप यहाँ पे store खोलोगे, आपके overheads कम है, but you will take slightly longer, but in the later years of your business, you will make good money because your overheads will always remain slow. And आपने अपने clientele build करी होगी location पे. So for people to deflect also, it becomes very difficult. जो आपकी location में खुद ही आके खा रहा है, he will not find options there. But when you land up in a place like a mall or a food court, आप day one से अच्छी walk in कर रहे हो. But there will also be competition. There will also be very dynamic situations, but you can make money from day one. So it depends what kind of frontage you want for your store, where you want to enter. So these numbers change, but yes, ideally between 18 to 24 months, any store can break even if managed well. That's about it.
Right. In fact, I wanted to ask more about like what would be your involvement in selecting the location, right? Right. How would you be suggesting us to figure out the right location to open that stores? Because as an audience or as an investor, I already have some kind of idea that in case if I want to open this outlet, then this is a particular space, right? Do you have any idea, like, would you like to give some examples of your existing franchisee stores, how you managed to, what was the idea behind selecting those stores and how it is performing now?
So, well, Rage, we have 3 stores and all are have been relatively new. CP being, I think, the oldest. So, just from my experience of 10 years, how this works is like, for example, even right now as we speak, we have a franchise who's looking for a location in Noida. We've seen already 7, 8 places, but we've not finalized because we are slow with that process. We want to be dead sure before we finalize a location. So, key factors क्या होते हैं? की फैक्टर्स लोकेशन में होंगे. पहली चीज तो हो गई लॉन्ग टर्म स्टैंडिंग. आप आप एक 4 दीवार की लोकेशन को लेके एक रेस्टोरेंट में कन्वर्ट कर रहे हो. यू डोंट वांट टू मूव आउट ऑफ दैट बिकॉज ऑफ सम इशू आफ्टर 2 years. सो आपका पैसा लगा है वहां पे. You've paid for what you're building. You build the name and then you are asked to leave after 2 years. That makes no sense, right? So first is, can that location be there with your restaurant for 5 years? That's the primary question. कि क्या आप वहाँ पे बिजनेस इजीली कर पाएंगे. लाइक मॉल्स जहाँ पे there's a question lurking around कि ये टिकेगा नहीं टिकेगा. ओनरशिप इश्यूज हैं, पेपर वर्क प्रॉपर नहीं है, अग्रीमेंट नहीं हो रहा है 5 साल 6 साल, थिंग्स लाइक दैट. So we recommend not to go ahead because you don't know that after 2 years when you start breaking even, the guy might just ask you to leave and open his own shop because you've created the walk-in. सो लोकेशन फाइनलाइजिंग में कई सारे की फैक्टर्स हैं. लॉन्ग टर्म लीज हो सकती है कि नहीं हो सकती है, एक्सेसिबिलिटी क्या है, आज की डेट में पार्किंग इश्यूज कैसे हैं, पुलिसिंग
Hmm.
कैसी है, इज इट गोइंग
True.
टू बी अ प्रॉब्लम इफ यू ओपन लेट नाइट, accessibility of water, accessibility of electricity, what kind of load factor do they provide, do you have power backup, can we build a chimney easily, is there a duct availability, पीछे की लोकेशन ओपन है कि नहीं, पास में कंपटीशन क्या है. नाउ सी,
Hmm.
a very good example would be दिल्ली में चांदनी चौक में अगर मैं चला जाऊं साड़ियों की दुकान के बीच में and I find a spot for a restaurant, it is going to be hell lot expensive with a lot of
Hmm.
walk-in. But is that
True.
relevant to me? I'm not going to sell burgers sitting in Chandni Chowk between shops where people come to buy sarees. So
Hmm.
even though my rental is very high, I have everything, but that location is not relevant. So agal
Correct.
bagal kya hai? So those kind of dynamics. What kind of city are we getting into? What kind of location? And the good
Hmm.
part about this collaboration is that we have data key points from Rage Coffee. With the
Okay.
extensive sales that they make, किस तरह के लोग क्या पसंद करते हैं. Same for Waterburger, and we customize. We are one of the only few brands who customize the menu according to the requirement of the location. तो अगर आप जलंधर में स्टोर खोल रहे हैं वर्सेस अगर आप अहमदाबाद में स्टोर खोल रहे हैं वर्सेस अगर आप कैलीकट में स्टोर खोल रहे हैं, इन तीनों लोकेशंस की रिक्वायरमेंट्स भी अलग होंगी, तीनों लोकेशन के डायनामिक्स भी अलग होंगे, लोगों की वांट्स भी अलग होंगी, एंड वी विल कस्टमाइज अकॉर्डिंगली. We can give options which are tailor made for that location. A place which is full of youngsters and maybe pocket friendly crowd can have more items in that pocket friendly range, and we do that review every 4 or 5 weeks and change items accordingly, that if there is a certain segment which is selling, अगर 100 से 150 रुपए की चीजें ज्यादा बिक रही हैं, so we'll have more items there. Under 100 ज्यादा बिक रही हैं, we'll have more items there. So we do that kind of planning also, where menu is customized and tailor made for that city. I hope that answers.
Yeah, yeah, of course. Before we go into the Q&A box and look for the questions and provide the answer, I have a question in the chat box. Someone, Prashant, I guess, Prashant Vasani is from Nagpur. He's saying that I already have Amul ice cream parlor. How can I start? He want to, convert that store or maybe trying to start a new business. Any idea for him?
Okay, so key points here would be, hello Prashant. Well, going back to Nagpur, Nagpur is a very famous location for Whataburger. We had a very large store there next to Lake Futala, along with Domino's. Unfortunately, that whole land was given over to the government for metro. So we all stores were taken off, all food eateries, including Domino's, along with us. But people still remember. We still get messages on that inbox, which was for Nagpur, that are you guys reopening? Where are you? It was a very popular spot. I might have some pictures also. So what depends here is the ice cream parlor is no problem. We can use your inventory for ice cream into our menu and we can split. But what matters here is the size of the location. Can we comfortably split the location? If it's a large
Yeah.
area, it's maybe 800 odd square feet, we can allocate 100 square feet space with a partition only for your counter sales for ice cream. And
Mm.
in fact, use your ice cream menu in some way in our own menu, where you sell ice creams not as Amul ice cream, but as a dessert section on Waterburger Age Cafe. And we can enhance the dessert section on our menu, where inventory would be from Amul ice creams. The ice creams used will be for Amul ice creams and all our shakes or our desserts, and we can extensively build a dessert menu. So people who come to that location for eating ice creams, they
Mm.
rather get a full cafe with dessert menu where we use Amul ice creams. We can do that. But the key question would be, what is the size of the location?
Right. He just added few more information in this chat. Like his parlor is near East Vardhaman Nagar, and he has like the 380 square feet space on rent, and he not want to convert it, but he want to add a separate outlet of your brand.
So 380 square feet, even if it is carpet area, I would say it
Hmm.
is slightly small for a city like Nagpur.
Right.
Nagpur is comes under the section of tier 2, tier 3 towns, and usually इन जगहों पे brand perception shop से size से होता है. Like
Okay.
Delhi NCR, you would understand that Starbucks can also have a store which is 300 square feet in a very, very
Hmm.
dense market. But when you move to tier 2, tier 3 cities, 300 square feet के store को लोग perceive करेंगे, अरे ये तो नुक्कड़ की
True.
दुकान. So we cannot build a cafe efficiently in a space like that, because cafe
Mm,
experience, the people want to sit and eat. For an ice cream parlor, 380 square feet is luxury, because you're just
mm,
eating ice creams. So what we can do is, if you can find a larger spot and we can build both together, or maybe we can build a store in 380 square feet, but I wouldn't recommend, to be honest, because the area is actually small. It's not ideal for comfortably sitting. See, the experience of a cafe comes in when you can sit down, you get your coffee served. No, we don't serve in paper cups. We serve in, we have cutlery, we've got bone china cups, So when you sit down and you enjoy a cup of coffee with good plated food. So we can only do that if there's space available. 380 square feet means that even if we struggle to build a kitchen and some dining space, the
right.
experience will never come. So a larger space is what would ideally be needed.
Okay, so Prashant, I think Rohit has already shared his number. My suggestion will be to get in touch with Rohit and then can have a discussion in length. And in case if we manage to get the proper space and all, then of course we can have a discussion further with Raj. That's what we can do.
If just
Uh,
find out if the space is in a good high walk-in spot, then
True.
maybe we can create something like a hybrid small store where, like if it's in the middle of universities, colleges, we can make a
Hmm,
spot where
hmm,
people can grab a cup of coffee, grab a burger, and move out. There's not much
hmm.
dining space required. Then we can do that. But in any case, it will be a full Rage X store. We cannot have a split between ice cream parlor and coffee shop on a shared menu, because that kills the branding. That kills the whole idea of what we are trying to do.
Absolutely.
So we cannot have that in such a small area.
Okay. May I request either Arjit or maybe someone who if you can take the question in the Q&A box.
I think there's just one question from Prashant only, unless I'm seeing
No, I
something.
mean that is the chat. It is in the
Q&A,
Q&A.
Okay,
see
there's a
more
Q&A
questions.
box. All right. Okay, one
Yeah.
second. Let me just see. Okay, we have a question from Ratish. How will you streamline food preparation to maintain quick service without compromising quality? Well, this is something that we've been doing for 10 years. So I would say there's good experience on that. So how this is streamlined is that, see, food preparation now is a process. It's kind of like, a step-by-step process. So what we have experience in is making that process. And then we hire people who get efficient with the process. So we don't need chefs. We are not making a butter chicken from scratch, where
Hmm,
the
hmm, hmm.
expertise is required. The
True.
expertise is required in discipline. So if you are told to fry something for 10 seconds, it must be fried for 10 seconds. That's the kind of discipline we need in training, not
Hmm.
culinary skills like, hand frying or tadka masala or anything. So here, coming back to the question, quick services where the process is streamlined for efficient build. So the
Hmm.
sauces would be made in a way where it is not more than a five-step process to make anything inside the kitchen. It can be pasta, it can be dim sums, it can be burgers, it can be a burger with something else, it can be fries, it can be OG fries. Whatever we have on the menu will not be more than five steps in the build. That's the key point. And everything is made in a way where four or five ingredients are combined together, but they already are pre-prepped. So our supply chain is organized like that. So all our kitchen timings are monitored, all our menu timings are monitored. For example, for CP, our weekend sales touch 50,000 rupees a day, and it's table turning is what we do there, which means you quickly put out orders and quickly push in more people. So that's only
Right.
possible if your timings are managed. So we are good with that. Now that is done with training, supplies, and supply chain. The food is prepared in a manner at backend itself before supply, where it is half ready. So like if chicken tikka
Hmm.
is coming in, it's not raw chicken. It is as per guidelines, half cooked and ready for quick preparation. So that is what the entire restaurant industry runs on. So that's how we do it.
Absolutely.
Then the second question is, how many daily sales or orders would you need to break even? Well, that question is basically dependent upon the answers dependent upon what area your store is, how much rentals you are paying. So there'll be a dead cost to a store, which means
Hmm.
that if every day you open your store and close your store without making any sales, you still have to shell a certain amount of money. आप rental है, electricity bill है, staff salary है, any kind of maintenance or cleaning, things like that, ये आपको spend करना ही है. So let's assume a scenario कि आपने एक महीने के लिए एक शॉप डेली खोली है, डेली बंद करी है, फुल ऑपरेट करी है, बट आपने कुछ भी नहीं बेचा, तो आप एक डेड कॉस्ट हर महीने पे करता है. This cost is your biggest number, and this is the dead cost. The second cost is where you spend on food items. So अगर आप कुछ बना रहे हैं तो उसमें एक food cost होगी. So that food cost is where the planning part is done, and the break even happens when the dead cost is met by the food cost. So to simplify, let's say 100 रुपए का कोई आइटम है, हमारे उसको बनाने की कॉस्ट 25 रुपए है, तो आप हर आइटम पे 75 रुपीज बचा रहे हो. But if your rental is 75,000 rupees and your dead cost with salaries and everything comes to about 1.5 lakh rupees, you need to sell enough items to recover 1.5 lakhs.
Oh,
Understand? So it's like a comparative question that how many sales you need to make. But as a ballpark number, if the rental is under 70,000 rupees and you are not in a space where overheads are very high and decent salaries, at a sale of about 10,000 rupees a day, you'll be making some amount of money. Not just breaking even, we're making some amount of money, which is a very achievable target. Our food costs are very low. We target between 25 to 35% in spite of giving very lucrative deals, like a cup of coffee for 100 rupees. But we
so how much margin generally we get on an average?
65 to 75% easy on food and coffee combined.
Okay.
Because your food
Anyways,
is between 25 to 35, so that is the
true.
margin we have. So if you're selling 10 lakh rupees of food every month, what you are pocketing on that is roughly 7 lakh rupees. Of that 7 lakh rupees, will be paying your rental, salary, GST, other overheads, and the rest is your profit.
Okay, before we go on to the last question in the Q&A box, I would still request all the viewers, in case if you have any question, you still have opportunity to ask, right? We have the entire team from the brand, and they are the best one to give you the right answers, right? So please keep on asking questions, because now once the, I mean, we just have the the Q&A session left now. So I mean, we are absolutely here to give you all the answers. Anyways, let's move on to the next question. Akhilesh Su.
Okay, so he has asked that what is the contract period and lock-in for a dual franchise of Rage and Whataburger? Okay, so it's an industry standard. We do a contract for 5 years. The idea is that after 5 years, we do a review. The review means that we need to see that how are you managing your store? How is the location coming up? Is there any change required? Are the key points which were required from our end, how they've been kept? How well you've managed the food, ratings, etc. And then we renew the contract at 5 years at a suitable renewal price at that point, which of course is not more than 20 odd percent usually. But market standard is 5 years of contract, and that's what we commit here also. 5 years is a long period, the world changes in 5 years. So every 5 years, we need to do a review mandatorily to realize if the location needs some kind of change, if we have to do some kind of interiors, how you've been performing. So yes, it's 5 years.
True.
Next question is again, what's the net margin? Well, as I said, the gross margin on food is about 65 to 75%. Net margin again would vary what location you are and what is the fixed and dead cost. But usually the net margin after everything for a store which is making 10 lakhs of sale would usually land up at about 20 odd percent. That's the amount of money you can easily make in a dine-in store, which is doing 10 lakh rupees of sale. 2 lakhs is what you'll easily pocket every single time. And this is not considering any online sales. This is considering that you're doing most of the sales as dine-in and walk-in, where your margins are 75 to 65%. And minimum investment for Mumbai, well, it depends on the location again. The franchise fee is more or less same. The setup cost would be slightly lesser for some smaller stores, but I always recommend that if you can, always open a large footprint store, because the key cost in a restaurant is setting up the kitchen and the basics, till the time the counter is complete. जहाँ तक आपका बिलिंग काउंटर है वहां तक मेन कॉस्ट है. उसके बाद what you put in is just interiors, AC and seating. So that part of the cost remains the same, whether it's a 500 square feet store or 1,000 square feet or 800 square feet store. But since you're building a cafe, increasing your store size to about 800 and building comfortable seating is what the key point is. But this would vary with where you're opening, how you're opening. Are people in a rush, people in a hurry? Do they want to sit back and relax, or they want to just grab a cup of coffee, pick up food, quickly eat and go? So these are very dynamic things. But yes, once you connect with us, so we can help you find the ideal location. And if not, if you have something in mind in some area in Mumbai, we can work in and find the ideal location in that region.
Okay, just one more question from my side. Like, how do you manage the inventory, and who will be sourcing the material? Do you have any specific vendors to cater, different area in India?
So see, in franchising क्यों करते हैं हम? I mean,
Hmm.
you and me can go on the internet today, search for 20 recipes, put up a signage and open a restaurant tomorrow.
Hmm.
But हम क्यों करते हैं franchising? The key idea of franchising is hand holding.
Hmm.
Hand holding means that things where you will fall and learn, they are preset for you. कि आपको सिखाना नहीं है. So you're quick. You don't make those mistakes. So we have an in-house supply chain, which is
Hmm.
outsourced to a company, of course, but it is a very well managed digital supply chain. You simply go to a portal, you select what items you need, and you place an order. It is delivered to your store, pan India, everything, starting from packaging to food items to everything. Of course, there will be some amount of local sourcing, which is basically fresh vegetables
Hmm.
and some key items which are available locally. Otherwise, everything is supplied to your store. What we also assure is that unlike other brands where they have a margin on everything which is supplied to you through a supply chain, we guarantee that if you can find that product on a build price, which is less than the price that our supply chain is giving it, we will match the price for you. So our supply chain assures that the pricing would be transparent. Whatever you're getting in the market, it will be that. So it's always lesser than what you get on Hyperpure or market dealers or whatever. And I'm talking about a build supply. So it's like that.
Okay. Before we go into the another question that we have in the message box from okay, so Faraz has already answered. Like someone was asking, Asif was asking, like, are we open for Nanded location?
Yeah,
So I
Nanded
think
is a good
yes.
spot also. It's we do flights to Nanded, and the kind of people in Nanded is the ideal. That those kind of cities, anyways, tier two, tier three. These days how they're expanding. The good part is that tier two, tier three cities, people have the money and time to spend, but they don't have options. So things like
Hmm.
these, they blow up very fast in tier two and tier three cities. So I would give a big thumbs up if Nanded is a location and you can do a decent store there. It will come up very well.
Okay. Another question in the Q&A box. Can we establish partnership with nearby offices or school to boost bulk orders?
Yes, of course. In fact, as a campaign, we introduced a discount booklet, which is a new concept in the industry. So basically, we made a booklet which has some 30, 40 coupons of different sorts of discounts. And we put that booklet for sale at our counter, for 100 odd rupees. Now, this is basically a physical thing that you buy for 100 rupees and it assures you discounts. It's no WhatsApp, it's no cashback, no app. It's a physical booklet. It has
Hmm.
more value. So these booklets can be distributed to offices, can be distributed to nearby schools, can be sold, and
Hmm.
what these have is a tremendous recall value. So
Hmm.
couple of coupons there would be very lucrative, like you get immediate 1+1, or you buy
Hmm.
that booklet and you get 40% off on your current order. So people are very inclined to buy. But then the other coupons would be like, if you come in with a group of four people, coffee for everybody is free. If you come in for two people, food for one is free, things like that. 10% discount, 20% discount. So people keep coming in, क्या चल कॉफी तो पी रहे हैं,
Hmm.
वहाँ चलते हैं, वहाँ पे डिस्काउंट नहीं मिल जाएगा. So we can do similar kind of things for offices and schools, and it always helps. So of course you can establish partnerships, and our team would be more than happy to help you doing that in a very efficient manner.
Hmm. Asif has also asked, like, do you have any option for master franchise in Nanded,
Yes, we have it for
Maharashtra?
Maharashtra. Yes. As of now,
Okay.
the options are available for everything. It's a new venture, and we are open to all sorts of partnerships. And what we are looking for is people who are ready to spend their time and not just money, because money is something that we can arrange. That's no problem. What we need is that mindset to build something, because this is one partnership which has never happened in the country before. If you go to Middle East, you'll have Tim Hortons and Cold Stone Creamery, a very good partnership. What they tied on was that everybody who's buying ice creams will end up buying coffee. Everybody who's buying coffee will end up buying ice creams one day. The seasons changes. So that's what we are doing here. आज की डेट में सिर्फ आप अगर एक commodity बेच रहे हो, so you're only targeting a certain percentage of the market. If you have a pizza outlet, you're only targeting people who want to eat pizza. If you're selling burgers, you're only targeting that segment which eats burgers. If you're only selling coffee and sandwiches, you're only targeting that clientele who's selling sandwiches. But if you open a cafe where you're selling pastas also, burgers also, sandwiches also, and coffee, you are you're catering to the largest segment of the audience. And this is what is happening right now, especially in tier 2, tier 3. It's very good for group meetings, kitty parties, children's birthdays, and our cafes are aligned like that. We have plated food also, like butter chicken and rice in a plate format. We have things like that, which become an attraction for all kinds of audiences.
Okay. Now, before we close this session, I just have two more questions. What I think on behalf of the customers side, like I would like to know more about your participation in marketing. How will you be doing it for the investors? And the last question is like, do you have any? I mean, do you find your any competitors? Who's your competitors, by the way? And like how you tackle it? In case if we can answer it in short.
Okay, so for marketing, yes, at the time of the sign up only, we see aaj ki date mein everything is digital. So the key focus will always remain digital,
Okay.
wherein we create Google locations, we create awareness around your locations, we do some kind of SEO, we'll do run some Facebook and Instagram ads, tie up with food influencers, and they come to your store and do a kind of experience. The second thing that we do is hands-on marketing from the audience who's already walking inside. So we push them to check inside the store, add their reviews on Google and things like that. So if you go to a Lucknow store, you will see that we have some, I think 50 or 60 odd five-star ratings, which is 90% plus, and those are
Okay.
run by customers themselves. You go to CP, it's the same thing again. If you go to a store in Alpha One, Great Noida, I think some 4,000 reviews, and the store net rating is 4.9. So there's nothing better than your audience itself rating the store and marketing it. So that's what we focus on. And apart from that, as brands, once we open in that region, of course, we'll be helping in the entire marketing plan and strategizing it.
So that will be on sharing basis, I mean, or it is all yours,
So see,
marketing
initial
initiatives.
initial push for the marketing, of course, would come from us, and then there'll be a key plan as a retainer. So there'll be some cost, which is where we will give you the plan. Okay, you need to do this, you need to do that. We'll do some sharing. Sharing in the sense that if we require to make creatives, that happens from us. If the videos are to be shot, that happens from us. If you have to create the content, that happens for us from us. But there's a net percentage that you spend of your sales every month to promote those things. The action has to be taken by you. The strategy and the designing part comes from us. So that cost is not on you, that's on us.
Perfect.
And
All right. So yeah.
another thing I would like to add is that on the marketing side, you will see that we're already very well established brands. So a lot of the heavy lifting that needs to be done by a newer brand or brands that are entering markets without an existing customer base, they face a lot of challenge. So for us, we believe that anybody who partners with us, they will see less friction in convincing customers, for that initial group of customers, to come and try out the products. And on the competition side, I also would like to add that there is nobody in this price segment today with a collaboration like this. So this is a very fresh concept. It's a very popular concept in North America and the Middle East, as Rajat was also mentioning. Uh, it has been executed at scale. There are multi-million, billion-dollar companies that have come together and done this at scale. So on the competition side, there is the very super premium luxury cafes, which are very expensive. Then there are the premium cafes, like a third wave or Blue Tuka, as I mentioned, which are very expensive for the average consumer. And they're also seeing friction as they're expanding into other cities because of the price points they operate at. And then there is the entry level CCD or a barista, which the new age consumers, I believe, are not very excited about because of their old school techniques and old school menu and the entire vibe of that place. So
Mm.
this is a completely open segment. Obviously, some mom and pop, stores keep coming up, but they wouldn't have the execution capabilities and the marketing and the brand pull that we collectively have right now. So I think that it would, for anybody who partners with us, they will have a first mover advantage and the ability to see that initial thrust will be there for anybody who partners with us right now.
Mm. Perfect. Yeah, totally agree with you. So I think, yeah, that's it for the day. I think this webinar has been fantastic, right? I really appreciate all the viewers who asked questions. I really appreciate that. And we would also like to appreciate all the panelists, Rajat, Bharat, Arijit, Raz, and Rohit for being available for this webinar and presenting the, detail and the business model and the insight about, the brand. So that's it for the day. Um, in case, viewers, in case if you would like to get in touch with us to discuss more about the brand, we can have a directly one-on-one discussion, right, with the brand. Of course, you can get in touch with our hotline number 9717 683838, or you can get in touch by writing to us at feedback@franchiseindia.in. Um, so that's it for the day. Anything, any few lines that you would like to, that any one of you would like to convey to the viewers? Anyone who can summarize this all?
Rajat, you want to
Ajit,
go?
or
I think I can add in some, and Bharat, you can give the closure statement. You're good at that. So I'll put in something from my end. So what I want to tell people is कि देखिए बिजनेस अपॉर्चुनिटी बहुत सारी आती हैं, बहुत सारे
Hmm,
रेस्टोरेंट्स मिलेंगे आपको, बहुत सारे सेटअप्स मिलेंगे. यहाँ के की एडवांटेजेस मैं सम अप कर देता हूँ. देयर इज लॉट ऑफ एक्सपीरियंस, देयर इज पब्लिक विजिबिलिटी, एंड
hmm,
सबसे बड़ी बात है दो का मजा एक में. So you
hmm,
are literally paying for one franchise, but what you get is a full segment of coffee and full segment of food. So it's a cafe that you're building with two brand names. So it's a very big thing. There are two teams who will always work for you. There will be marketing which will come from Rage, marketing comes from WAP, food comes from Wave, food comes from WAP, coffee comes from Rage, coffee comes from WAP. So the both of us work together. So that's a very big thing कि आप दो franchise का मजा लेंगे एक ही investment में. There are customizations possible, small cities possible, tier two locations possible, and our expertise lies in the fact that we can create out of a store out of spaces which don't look like restaurants also. So we're very good with that. एंड टू एंड एग्जीक्यूशन, अगर आप चाहते हो कि हमें कुछ भी नहीं करना, आप सिर्फ लोकेशन फाइनलाइज कर दो, आपको वो भी नहीं करना, वो भी ढूंढ देंगे. सो यू जस्ट हैव टू सिट, बट येस योर इन्वॉल्वमेंट इन द रेस्टोरेंट शुड ऑलवेज बी देयर. अगर आप, इफ यू नॉट getting ready to get your hands dirty, I think franchising is not the game for you, because this is for people who have the passion to run a restaurant, who have the dream to run a restaurant, and they want to do it with a flair, with some kind of style and not just struggling. So this franchise setup is for that. So just get in contact, get in touch with the Franchise India team, finalize the location. If you can't, just let us know. We'll find that for you, and we can take it forward.
yeah, of
But
course. And franchising is also all about not seeking the return on investment, but seeking return on your involvement, right? That is what gives you better returns.
Also, we are very hungry as the entire team, as founders. We are very much involved. And I think we are looking for hungry, enterprising folks. I think we money for us or getting investments for both of us is not a challenge at all. What we truly need is people who are willing to work with us in going from one franchisee to tens of those franchisees. That's the kind of people we're looking to work with.
Perfect. All right, so guys, that's it for the day. Tomorrow we will again come up with a new brand and we'll explore another business opportunity. Till then, take care and have a nice day ahead. Thank you so much, guys.